Absolutely. But one thing is very critical. Let's take you through some of the figures that are very, very important. And I will go to the issues of violence, which is a major thing here. Leading up to this election, I'm not sure in the last few years we've seen so much of violence that have come into an election. It tells you how critically and how intensely this election is being contested for. Well, let's look at it. The figures are very staggering. We've seen an increase in PVC collection. That's very encouraging. That is almost 100% in Ekiti. It's about 81% here in Osun State. But look at it. History tells us Osun can be extraordinarily close. The winning margin was more than 101,000 votes in 2014. Just 482 votes in 2018. 28,344 votes in 2022. Those are the margins in all of the in each of the election year that determine who won the election. That tells you that if 482 votes can determine who won the election, it tells you that every vote is of essence in this election. So today, every polling unit will matter, every vote will matter, and perhaps most importantly, the integrity of every step of the process will also matter. If you look at what we're saying, 30 local government areas, 332 wards, 3,763 polling units. These are the figures we are looking at, and it's a population of over 3 million people, 2.339233 voters. Bukola, make sense of these figures for us.
Fantastic figure, and I think we need to first of all look at the number of that PVC collected. Now, 81% actually, when you look at that, is actually not a bad number. Though it might be a bit lower compared to what you have in Ekiti, that you have 97%, but you have 81% here now, and that talks about a whole lot of things. But again, that number also did not include downloadable PVC, because when you have to look, INEC have not released that number of people that downloaded their PVC and then they will be able to use it, because the national chairman also talked about, look, they are going to use downloadable PVC. The REC have also emphasized it for those people who have gone through that process to download their PVC. It will be interesting to add that number to this to see what we have. Again, you also have to look at in terms of participation that you mentioned. Osun State election has always been very, very competitive. For instance, when you look at that figure of 2014, where you have 100,000 margin of lead, I think 101,000 margin of lead. You compare that with what we have been having in Ekiti. For instance, in 2014 in Ekiti, I think 2014, where a governor had like about 16, won the entire 16 local government. Now, which it was 16-0, and I don't think that has ever happened in Osun, where we had 30-0, and so it has always been a competitive election. Then you move into 2018, the margin of lead was less than 500. So then you come to 2018, which you mentioned, 2022, which is like about 28,000. So which means Osun election has always been very competitive. Then leading up to this election, you have also seen how competitive in terms of campaign, in terms of mobilization this has been. So in this election, if we have to really ask ourselves, one thing I think we happen in this election is that every vote will matter, every vote can make a difference, and I also see that the polling agents are going to be very, very alert, because they are going into a competitive election.